Today, we are diving deep into one of the biggest debates in East Asian philosophy. It's a fascinating clash of ideas between a master, Confucius, and his most brilliant successor, Mencius. They were both trying to answer this huge question. What are we really at our core? And how do we build a good society based on that? This explainer is all about breaking down their very different answers. So first, let's just set the scene. You have to imagine ancient China during what they called the Warring States period. It was chaos. The old dynasty was falling apart, the country was just torn to pieces by constant war. It was a time of incredible suffering and a total breakdown of society. And this is the problem that both Confucius and Mencius were trying to solve. Their entire way of thinking was a response to this one single urgent question. But here's the thing. Even with all that turmoil, neither of them thought society was a lost cause. Not at all. They were both convinced that there was a path, a way, or a Tao, to get back to harmony. For them, the problem wasn't that people had lost their ability to be good, it's just that they'd lost their way. So their life's work was basically to find that path again and teach it to everybody, from the average person all the way up to the king. Okay, so let's properly meet the two incredible minds at the center of this whole thing. On one side, you've got Confucius. He's known simply as the master. He is the architect of this whole system of thought, the one who laid the groundwork for literally centuries of philosophy. Then, about 100 years later, you get Mencius, and he's living in an even more violent time. They call him the second sage because he's seen as the most important interpreter of Confucius. Now, he claimed he was just passing on the master's ideas, but as you're about to see, he actually developed them in some really radical new ways. And this brings us right to the heart of it all, the core of their disagreement. It all starts with how they saw the raw material they had to work with, us, human nature itself. This is the question, the one that really separates them. Think about it. Before you can even start to build a good society, you have to know what people are actually like, deep down. Are we born selfish? Are we a blank slate? Or is something else going on? So let's break this down. Confucius was, basically an optimist. He truly believed that anyone could become a good person, a gentleman, if they just dedicated themselves to learning and self-improvement. For him, we have the potential to be good. But then Mencius, he takes this a giant league further. He doesn't just say we can be good. He argues that goodness is our factory setting. It's innate. Just look at how direct and confident Mencius is here. This was not a small change. It was a revolutionary claim. He's saying that the very essence of who we are is morally good. We don't need to learn how to be good from the outside. We just need to grow what's already inside us. So, how in the world did Mencius prove this pretty radical idea? Well, he used a really simple but incredibly powerful thought experiment. Picture this. You're just walking along, and all of a sudden, you see a small child right on the edge of a well, about to fall in. Mencius says that any person, literally anyone, in that moment would feel this immediate jolt of alarm and compassion. And here's the crucial part. You wouldn't feel it because you're thinking, oh, maybe the parents will reward me, or my neighbors will think I'm a hero. No, it's a gut reaction. It's an unselfish, instinctive, moral impulse. And for Mencius, that feeling is proof. It proves we all have these little seeds or sprouts of goodness inside us from the moment we're born. And this little story perfectly sets up his big idea. The four beginnings. That feeling you get for the child about to fall in the well, that's the sprout of benevolence. That feeling of shame you get when you know you've done something wrong, that's the sprout of righteousness. That natural feeling of respect for an elder, the sprout of propriety. And that little inner voice that tells you what's right and what's wrong, that's the sprout of wisdom. The whole project of becoming a good person for Mencius is just about watering these sprouts so they can grow into full-blown virtues. So if you're starting from different places, it makes sense that your roadmap for becoming a good person is going to look pretty different, right? Let's check out how each of them thought we should actually go about becoming moral. Confucius actually describes his own life as this long, slow journey toward moral mastery. It's a step-by-step process of constant study, practice, and thinking that takes a whole lifetime. You can see his progress here. It starts at 15 with a commitment to learning, and it's not until he's 70 that he can finally follow his heart's desire without doing anything wrong. For him, it's a process of shaping yourself through external things, like learning and rituals. Mencius's method? It's different. It's not so much about building from nothing, it's more about expanding what's already there. His big idea is something called extension. There's this famous story where he's talking to a king who felt sorry for an ox being led to be sacrificed, but he didn't feel anything for his own people who were suffering. Mencius didn't tell him to learn a new feeling. He just said, take that pity you already feel for the ox and extend it to your people. It's all about finding a moral spark inside you and learning how to apply it more broadly. Naturally, this deep disagreement about what makes us tick leads to two totally different ideas about how a country should actually be run. This quote from Confucius pretty much explains his model of government in a nutshell. It is a top-down system, and it's all based on moral influence. The ruler, the gentleman, has to work on his own moral virtue, his D, and this virtue acts like a force of nature, like the wind. The common people, the grass, they'll just naturally follow that moral direction. You won't even need harsh laws or punishments. So the whole thing for Confucius boils down to this. A good, stable country is built on the moral character of its leaders. If the ruler is a good person, if they're trustworthy, and if they follow the proper rituals, the Li, then the people will be inspired to do the same. The whole country just becomes a reflection of the ruler's own inner goodness. But Mencius, because he believed so strongly in the goodness of everyday people, he just flips this entire idea on its head. His vision isn't top-down, it's bottom-up. And for the ancient world, it was a completely revolutionary way to think about politics. Just listen to these principles. They are absolutely stunning for their time. Look at that hierarchy. People first, state second, ruler last. Mencius argued that a government's right to rule comes from the people. Its main job isn't to win wars or build monuments. It's to make sure people have food and are safe. And here's the most shocking part. He argued that if a ruler fails to do this and rules like a tyrant, he loses his right to be king. He's not a ruler anymore, he's just a villain, and the people have the right, even the duty, to get rid of him. So when you lay out all these differences, you start to see how this ancient debate still echoes in our world today. The big takeaway here is that while Confucius laid the foundation, Mencius took those ideas and just supercharged them with this powerful belief in our innate goodness. And that single change in thinking led him from a philosophy of slow, lifelong improvement to one of nurturing our inner moral compass, and from a political model of top-down example to a truly radical, people-first idea of government. And that leaves us with a question that really frames their whole debate. Where should we put our energy? Should we focus on creating disciplined systems, rules, and rituals to guide us, like Confucius might say? Or should our focus be on creating the right environment in our schools, our communities, our countries, that allows the innate goodness inside every one of us to grow and flourish, just as Mencius believed? It's a question they were asking over 2,000 years ago, and it's one we are absolutely still trying to answer today.